Hello, welcome to another workflow devotion with Darrell and Arlene. And I have one of my old teammates with me, Brent Carmichael. We played together in the CBA. Brent, why don't you introduce yourself to those that may not know who you are?
Again, Brent Carmichael, former CBA player, now head basketball coach in Waterloo, Iowa. Former basketball coach in Dallas, Texas, and also a nonprofit founder director that deals with families that have kids on the autism spectrum, kids that have high risk kids, and also special needs kids. So it's always a pleasure to see you, Darrell. Missed you, but always, we stay in touch a little bit through Facebook. So I do appreciate you giving me this opportunity to join you.
Well, man, I am so glad that you're here today. And I think that we both hold some of the same values. Well, we're both part of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We had a really nice run in the CBA. Actually made it to the finals that year that we were there in Rockford,
Yes,
Illinois.
Yeah.
So today we're going to briefly talk about a question that I proposed to some people in the audience and I just want you to give your perspective. But the question is, why do people hate?
Mm-hmm.
It has become so polarized. Hatred has become so polarized. And with you dealing with young children, young men, young women, if that question was put to you, why do people hate? How would you answer that question?
Well, I think I would split it to the different age groups. I think a lot of the people that are in our age group, or maybe even down to the mid 40s, even from 40 years old and above. I had an opportunity to go to a training at one point and hear someone talk on a similar subject. And one of the things that they brought to me, which gave me a perspective and had me look at things differently, was look at it from three perspectives. One is ignorance, that they just don't know, that they just haven't been around anyone from different diversities, different cultures, different understanding, different beliefs. Second, they insensitive, that they just, they know about it, but they just don't care. And the third is it just straight out hatred. And the hatred of meaning that they just don't care about anyone other than their race, their culture, their family, their neighborhood, whatever it may be. So when I address this issue, especially hate or racism, I basically look at it from those three perspectives. Because if I speak with someone that is ignorant, I don't blame them. I look at it as that they're just not educated enough. So I take my time and my effort in trying to help educate them, because as infants, we all need education. And so in order for them to grow, we have to look at it from that they just haven't learned or haven't been subject to it. When you look at sensitive, you have to approach that one from a different standpoint, because then you have to look at how can you use your methods or strategies or approaches to be able to get your point across to someone who just doesn't care. I truly believe the hardest person to deal with in society is that person that just doesn't have anything to lose or don't care. And so that's very difficult. It's easy for me to deal with someone who has hatred. And the reason I say that is just because I know where they stand. And if I know where you stand, I can approach you. I don't have to be aggressive. I don't have to be disrespectful. I just have to understand that you just don't, you have that mentality. And so I think when I address the issue of hatred, Darrell, I really look at it from those three perspectives, and then devise my approach or how I'm going to use my faith in being able to address it with them.
Okay. Okay. You know, Brent, when we played basketball and we played against other teams, um, there was a competition that was going on that put us in a mindset of us against them.
Mm-hmm.
And we played that game in a way that that person on the other team at that particular time was not our friend, not right then anyway.
Right.
That's just part of the competition. But in most cases, with most people, when the game was over with, we all shook hands.
Right.
We may not have liked each other, but we all shook hands and we agreed, even though we may have lost or we won, we shook hands and we moved on from there. But what I see in our society right now is this polarized hatred that goes as far as not just saying I disagree with you, but literally I want to demolish you. I'm going to talk about you so bad that I'm going to show you how bad I hate you. And that is the hatred that I'm saying. Why do that? Why take it to that level? Why not agree to disagree and move on? Because life is so much more than walking around and hating people. So when you run into this with the young people that you deal with, how do you address the differences that they see among one another, whether it's Black, white, Asian, Indian, whatever the case may be, tall, short? Coach Charlie told me, he says, tell Brent, because we really wanted him on here. He says,
Right.
tell Brent, first of all, he changed his name to Bent. He says, and then tell him that I said he's the biggest little man that I ever had in the CBA sports. So how would you handle those types of issues with the young men and women that you deal with?
Well, and when I explained prior to, I didn't get a chance to get to the lower level, but the before I tell you how I handle it, there's a blessing I believe that's occurring right now with our young people. They don't have that same mentality, percentage wise, as we have with the age group that we have. There is a lot of diversity with the young people. There's less hatred and more acceptance. You know, so there is a blessing happening with our young people. But when I have to deal with it, and of course, you know, there are still situations where I'm having to deal with it. I look at it as a teachable moment or a educational moment, I would say. You're not going to get across to everybody. I think you still have to try and come up with scenarios, come up with situations to where if it's just talking about the difference in hair color and how you can look at it from, you know, that blonde hair people are treated differently than brown haired people. Not even getting to a racial aspect of it. Just looking at it from, looking at it from an aspect of that, you know, people may look at you because you have blonde hair as someone who is not as intelligent.
Okay.
So what I try to do is create scenarios that they may find themselves in that has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with culture, has more to do with the way you look, the color of your hair. One thing that is very prevalent among our youth right now is individuality. And so they like to wear their hair different. If it's real bushy, if it's with the color purple, or if it's, cut real short on the sides. And so people judge you by the haircut style that you have.
That's right.
So how would you feel if you went into a restaurant to get something to eat and they said, because you have your head shaved on the side, we're not going to serve you?
Right. Right.
And so it's presenting it in a whole perspective that they may be able to understand and not take it as you're being racial or you're being ethnic or you're being insensitive because you're a Black guy and you're trying to get me to understand the Black culture. And so you really have to be creative with young people today. And that's what I try to do, Darrell, is just basically put it in a perspective of where they can understand it, where they are becoming the person that is being disrespected or had a hateful gesture presented to them without any other thing other than the way they have their hair shaped.
Okay.
So yeah, it's creative.
And the thing about when you start asking the question, why do people hate? The hatred goes across. It goes across color lines.
Yes, sir.
It goes across party lines. It goes across. And when I say color lines, I'm not just talking black, white, yellow, red. I'm talking light skin, dark skin, blue hair, gray hair, blonde hair, brunette hair. It goes across all cultures and all shapes and sizes and all. And in reality, we're all one people, but yet we hate.
Yeah.
Some of the hatred even goes inside family, a brother hating brother or a sister hating sister or across. And the question then still comes up, why? Why do people hate? I understand that if someone has done something to you or done something to your family, there's a resentment that may enter in because of what was done. But the resentment that's there, if it was understood, would it eliminate the hate? So, this is a big question that needs to be addressed by each person individually. You almost, when I ask the question, why do people hate? You almost have to say to yourself, why do I hate? And what's the reason for it? Who do I hate and why? Is it because they're different than I am? Why do I hate? So when we ask that question, if we were trying to create the perfect world where there was no hate, how would you build or start to build that world yourself? If you had to be the one that was the CEO to start a world without hate, how would you start that world? Where would it start?
Where we're at right now, I would start it with our babies. Honestly, I would, because so much baggage we all have with history, with family issues, with school issues, bullying, whatever it might be. We all have baggage. But if I had to start from day one with where we're at right now, with the culture that we have, I would start with awareness. I would say we have to sit down and do what you and I are doing right now.
Okay.
Is talking. I think that, hate didn't happen overnight and it won't be fixed overnight, but I think it begins with us talking. I think it's beginning to sit down with people who we have an issue with, regardless if it's their gender, if it's their hairstyle, if it's, the clothes that they wear, if it's skinny jeans, if it's whatever. And being able to address that respectfully, I'd say it's respectful relationships, peaceful compromise, and effective communication.
Okay.
Is the three things that I would probably say. We don't have to agree, but if I understand you, I think that it makes me feel a little better about dealing with you.
Okay. Okay.
But I think that, you know, if in a perfect world, Darrell, I would say we have to start with our babies. And, you know, not to throw off on a whole different subject, but it's the same way I feel about violence. You
Okay.
know, we hate violence. We hate it, but yet we buy it, we look at it, we give it to our kids. You
That's
know,
right.
so it really it boggles my mind
We
how
promote it.
right, right. You know, it really boggles my mind how we all say that we hate violence or we hate, but yet we still condone it.
Yeah, we embraced it. We
Yeah.
embraced it. So,
Mhm.
and when I put that question to you, I put that question to myself when I started this process, and um, what I came up with myself was that in order to make a change, I have to first be the change that I want to see.
Mhm.
I literally have to look into myself and ask that question of myself. How can I make that change? Well, me making that change is first me changing me.
Right.
So that if there's anything that is in me that has a dislike, a hatred for, then that's the part that needs to change first.
Mhm.
So in the Bible, it would say something to this effect. It would say, get the mote out of your own eye before you start to try to straighten out somebody else's,
Right.
you know. So I truly believe that it starts with us individually. It starts, as you said, with us having these kind of conversations, and then having that conversation put into a forum where people can be open and honest,
Yeah.
understand the differences that they have, embrace those differences. You can agree to disagree and still not hate.
Right.
You can
Right.
disagree with someone without calling them names, without belittling them, without making them feel smaller than you are. So
Yeah.
I believe that in order for us to eliminate hate, we have to first eliminate the conversations that cause hate to come up in the first place.
Yes.
So, look, man, it's just been so good having you here with us on Workflow Devotion, man. We have so many memories together in playing ball, and you've just always been, man, just a role model for a lot of people, a lot of children, and just keep doing what you're doing, Brent. Man, I just, when we talk about Omega Psi Phi, and we talk about friendship and uplift and all the things that we're supposed to represent, man, you are the epitome of manhood. And I just would encourage you to continue to do what you're doing. And may God be always a part of everything that you're doing right now in your life. So,
And it
again,
is,
thank you.
and equally, I say that to what you and your wife are doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it all starts with that spiritual foundation. And I see that in you, see that in your wife and what you're doing. And God is leading you in the right direction. And God is putting people in front of you to be able to make his word our word. And that to me is what we all should be doing. And
Amen.
I
Amen.
do it I live my life as that now. Of course, we know how we were back then.
We made mistakes.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yet and still, God still loves us and said, put us on this path of where we're at. And so I honor what you and your wife are doing. I honor that, you know, you guys have built very good bond. I follow you, and I envy that, actually, because it's a blessing to see it.
Amen.
So you keep doing what you're doing, and I will keep doing what I'm doing, and we'll all be blessed. So thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Okay, well, I will be calling on you in the future again. So, I mean, again, man, thanks so much. So this has been another workflow devotion with Darrell and Arlene and my good friend Brent Carmichael, way out west. You're still in Twin City. Is that where you are? Or
No, I was in the Quad Cities. I'm actually in Iowa now. I'm in the
oh,
Midwest
okay,
now.
okay, in the Midwest.
So
Okay,
kind of
okay.
came back close to home, but yeah, so it's still cold. So
Still cold. Once I got back to Florida, I stayed in Florida.
I
So
know
no
that's
more shoveling snow. Well, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been another workflow devotion with Darrell and Arlene. We hope that that what we've discussed today will be a blessing to you, and we pray that that God will bless you in every endeavor that you take place. So until next time, we'll see you. God bless you. Bye.